You look at me like I'm a secret.
Your Honor, my client has made every effort to locate the respondent. She has been absent from the marital home for over 3 years without explanation. She contributed no income, no domestic labor, and no emotional support to this marriage. Furthermore, my client requests full ownership of the marital residence, the joint savings account, and the vehicle registered under both names.
Is the respondent present? Has she been notified?
Your Honor, my wife, ex-wife, practically hasn't contacted me in 3 years. She's probably off somewhere.
I'm here.
You look at me like I'm a secret, but you don't even try to hide it.
16 hours ago, I got your paperwork.
But your hands keep moving closer.
Ma'am, do you have legal representation?
No, Your Honor. I'll represent myself.
I can tell you're already in my spell. Try to run.
Vivian, let's not make this ugly. Just sign the papers. You and I both know you've got nothing. You disappeared for 3 years. You have no job, no savings, no assets in your name. I'm offering you a clean break. That's more than you deserve.
Ethan's being generous. If I were him, I'd sue you for abandonment.
Bad idea.
Nothing in my name? Is that what you think?
Vivian, come on. I paid for the apartment. I paid for the car. What did you contribute? You were some kind of government desk clerk before you vanished? Your Honor, we have financial records showing that Mr. Cross has been the sole provider.
Your Honor, I'd like to request a brief recess. Some documents relevant to this case are being delivered.
Documents? What documents? A receipt from a thrift store?
15-minute recess.
Your Honor, by order of the Department of Defense.
We are delivering partially declassified serve records for Captain Vivian Cross, Versa Ashbourne. These documents are relevant to the proceedings.
Captain Ashford.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have been on active classified deployment for the past 37 months. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And during that time, you received 2 Purple Hearts, a Bronze Star, and a Distinguished Service Medal, none of which were publicly announced due to the classified nature of your operations?
That's correct.
Your Honor, with all due respect, military service, however admirable, doesn't change the financial realities of this marriage. My client...
I'm not finished.
Captain Ashford, this file also contains a financial disclosure. It states that your military compensation, including hazard pay, combat bonuses, and a housing allowance that was deposited into a separate account during your deployment, totals approximately 1.2 millions. Additionally, there's a note here from the Department of Defense indicating that you are the recipient of a meritorious service grant of $500,000, awarded for, and I quote, extraordinary valor in defense of national security in an unnamed theater of operations. Is this accurate?
Yes, Your Honor. Every cent is documented.
That's impossible. You told me you were a clerk. A desk clerk!
I told you I worked for the government. You assumed the rest.
But 3 years, you never called, you never...
Classified means classified, Ethan. I couldn't tell you where I was. I couldn't tell you what I was doing. I couldn't even confirm I was alive. But you knew that when you married me. You knew what you signed up for. And while I was gone, you signed up for something else entirely. Who is she?
Vivian, listen.
Her name.
Her name is Megan. Megan Porter.
How long? How long?
2 years.
He told me you were dead. He said you died overseas and the body was never recovered. You told her I was dead?
What was I supposed to say? You vanished! No calls, no letters, nothing! For all I knew, you were dead!
For all you knew. But you didn't check, did you? You didn't contact my unit. You didn't file a person's report. You didn't call the VA. You just moved on.
Mr. Cross, in light of this new information, I have serious concerns about the basis of your petition. You claimed your wife contributed nothing to this marriage. The evidence before me suggests otherwise.
Your Honor, the financial contributions don't negate the fact that she was absent.
She was absent because she was serving her country in a classified combat zone, while your client was, by his own admission, engaged in an extramarital affair. I'm going to adjourn for today. I strongly suggest both parties return with proper legal counsel. And Mr. Cross? If I find out you deliberately concealed your wife's military status to gain advantage in this proceeding,
Vivian, wait. We can talk about this. I made a mistake, okay? I panicked. But $1.2 million, I mean, we're still married. That's community property. We can split it and...
You wanted everything I had when you thought I had nothing. Now you want to split what I earned while you were playing house with someone else. Ethan, I survived things that would break you in minutes. Do you really think a man like you scares me?
Captain, General Morrison wants to know if you'd like a security detail at your residence.
That won't be necessary.
He also mentioned that the apartment registered under Mr. Cross's name, the one he's claiming as a marital asset.
What about it?
the down payment was made from a joint account funded entirely by your pre-deployment savings. The deed should legally be in your name.
Send the paperwork to my lawyer.
You don't have a lawyer, Captain.
I will by morning. Wait! Wait! Please wait! Is it true? Did he really tell you that he said you were dead? He told you I was dead. And he told me I contributed in nothing. We were both lied to. I didn't know! I just swear I did. I believe you. But believe you. Believing you doesn't change what happened. And it doesn't change what comes next. Get a paternity test. A man who can lie that easily to two women? Don't trust him with your child's future either.
Coming from the base?
Something like that.
Where to?
42 Mill Run Road, Ashford Falls. Captain Ashford?
Captain Ashford, this is Richard Whitmore of Whitmore and Kessler. I sent you a message earlier regarding your grandmother's estate.
I saw it.
I understand the timing is less than ideal, but there are matters that require your immediate attention. Your grandmother's will has specific conditions, and several deadlines are approaching.
What kind of conditions?
It would be better to discuss this in person. Could you come to our offices tomorrow morning? I assure you it will be worth your time.
Fine. Send me the address.
Captain Ashford, thank you for coming. Please sit down. Your grandmother, Eleanor Ashford, passed away on March 15th. Pancreatic cancer. It was very quick at the end.
I hadn't spoken to her in over a decade.
She updated her will 6 months before her death. You are the sole beneficiary. The estate includes real property, investment portfolios, and controlling shares in Ashford Holdings. The total estimated value as of last month is 340 million. However, your grandmother included a clause. To receive the full inheritance, you must fulfill one condition.
The marriage.
Your grandmother believed strongly in legacy. She wanted to ensure the family line continued and that the Ashford name would be protected by a suitable alliance.
Who's the groom?
His name is Dominic Steele.
Dominic Steele. Steele Defense.
The same.
You're joking.
Your grandmother never joked about legacy, Captain.
And if I refuse?
The inheritance goes to a trust. You'd receive a modest annual stampy, but the bulk of the estate would be managed by a board of directors, several of whom I should mention have already expressed interest in liquidating Ashford Holdings.
Does he know about this?
Mr. Steele was informed of the arrangement 3 months ago. He has agreed to meet you.
He agreed? Just like that?
Mr. Steele's exact words were, if Eleanor Ashfield picked her, she's either extraordinary or insane. Either way, I'm interested.
He's been watching.
I wouldn't be surprised. Mr. Steele is thorough.
When and where?
Tonight, 8 o'clock, the Meridian Club.
This way, ma'am.
Captain Ashford, you're early.
Force of habit. Punctuality keeps you alive in my line of work.
And mine too.
Thank you. I'll skip the pleasantries. You know why we're here. My dead grandmother thinks we should get married. You apparently agreed. I'd like to know why.
Direct. Good. I hate small talk. Your grandmother approached me a year ago. She said she had a granddaughter who was, and I quote, the most stubborn, infuriating, brilliant woman I've ever failed to control. She said you'd chosen war over wealth and never looked back. I respected that. Most people born into money cling to it. You walked away from it to get shot at. That tells me something about your character.
It tells you I'm either brave or stupid.
Those aren't always mutually exclusive. But I did my homework after Eleanor approached me. I know about your deployments, at least the parts that aren't blacked out. I know about the commendations. I know you led a 12-person unit through a siege that lasted 9 days with no air support and brought every single one of them home alive.
How do you know about that?
I built the communications equipment your team used. When the satellite link went down on day 3, my engineers worked around the clock to reroute the signal. We didn't know who was on the other end. Just call sign Valkyrie.
That was you, wasn't it?
That was your team?
That was me. Personally. I was in the operations room for 53 straight hours. So, to answer your question about why I agreed, I've already trusted you with the lives of my engineers. Marriage seems like a smaller leap.
Problem?
My soon-to-be ex-husband just found out I'm worth $340 million.
Huh. And now he wants to renegotiate.
Apparently.
Would you like to handle it yourself, or would you like help?
I can handle my own problems.
I don't doubt that. But you've been handling things alone for 37 months. You don't have to anymore. You're Dominic Steele.
And you must be the man who told his pregnant girlfriend that his wife was dead.
That's not, you don't know what happened.
I know exactly what happened. You married a woman who went to war for her country. While she was gone, you moved your mistress into her home, threw away her belongings, and filed for divorce claiming she contributed nothing.
Did I miss anything?
Vivian, I came because I was worried about you. When I found out about the inheritance, I realized I made a terrible mistake. I was lonely. I was scared. I thought you were never coming back.
We can fix this. Forget the divorce. Forget everything. We can start over. We're still married, Viv. That means something.
It means something now that I'm worth $340 million. Funny how that works.
That's not fair.
You want to talk about fair? You replaced every photo in our apartment. You threw away my clothes. You took Megan to a gender reveal party in the living room where I used to study tactical maps before deployments that could have killed me. You told her I was dead, Ethan. You erased me. And now that I'm worth something, you want to unerase me?
So this is what you've been doing. I've been worried sick, and you're out having dinner with another man?
We're separated, Ethan. You filed for divorce.
Which I'm withdrawing! The papers aren't finalized! We're still legally married! Whatever you're doing with him could be used against you in court!
Mr. Cross, you barged into a private dining room at a members-only club where you have no membership. You're making accusations against a decorated military officer in the presence of witnesses, and you're pointing your finger at me. I'd suggest lowering it.
Your wife and I are here to discuss a business matter related to her grandmother's estate. Nothing more, nothing less, for now. But even if it were more, that would be none of your concern. You forfeited that right when you filed for divorce.
Now, you have two options. Leave quietly, or I'll have security escort you out. And I should mention, the Meridian Club's security team includes 3 former Special Forces operatives. I hired them personally.
Vivian, please. Think about what you're throwing away. 6 years of marriage.
You threw it away first.
You think you know her? She's cold. She's impossible. She'll disappear on you too.
Sorry about that. I told you I could handle my own problems.
You did handle it. I just provided atmosphere. Sit down. Eat something. You look like you haven't had a real meal in 3 years.
37 months.
Even worse.
You said you did your homework on me. So you know I'm not easy. I don't play nice. I don't smile on command. And I have enough emotional baggage to fill a cargo plane.
I run a defense company. I deal with cargo planes daily.
I'm serious. If we do this, whatever this arrangement is, I need you to understand what you're getting into.
Let me tell you what I see, Captain. I see a woman who survived things most people can't imagine, came home to betrayal, walked into a courtroom alone, and didn't break. Not once. I've met generals who crumble under less pressure. I've met billionaires who can't handle a bad earnings report. And you're sitting here after the day you've had, worried about whether I can handle you. This is a key card to the penthouse at the Steel Tower. It's yours regardless of what you decide about the marriage. You need a place to stay that isn't your ex-husband's apartment.
I can't accept that.
Consider it a thank you for Bastion Ridge. 12 of my people came home because of you. A hotel room is the least I can offer.
This isn't a yes to the marriage.
I know.
This is just a place to sleep.
Understood.
And if you try anything,
You'll pepper spray me. I saw the courtroom footage.
there's footage?
It's trending, number 3 nationally.
Oh no!
Oh, yes.
The baby isn't Ethan's.
Vivian, I'm so sorry. I know I have no right to call you.
Just tell me what happened. After the courthouse, I went straight to a clinic. I kept thinking about what you said. About not trusting him. The doctor confirmed it. Ethan isn't the father.
Does Ethan know?
No. And I don't know how to... God, everything is falling apart. He's been calling me nonstop since he left wherever you were tonight. He's furious. He keeps saying he's going to get what's his. He's talking about your money like he's already spent it.
Where are you right now?
At a friend's apartment. I packed a bag and left. I was scared to stay at your apartment. I know it's yours. I know everything now.
Megan, listen to me. Do not go back to that apartment. Do not answer Ethan's calls.
And do not tell him about the paternity test.
Why?
Because right now,
Ethan thinks he has leverage, a wife with $340 million, and a pregnant girlfriend who makes sympathetic. The moment he finds out that baby isn't his, he loses the girlfriend card. And a man like Ethan, when he's cornered and has nothing left to lose,
He gets dangerous.
you're smarter than he gave you credit for.
So were you.
Everything all right?
No, but it will be. You've seen it.
I've seen it. My PR team is already on damage control.
I don't need damage control. I need people to stop caring about me.
Unfortunately, that ship has sailed.
You're a war hero with a cheating husband and a $340 million inheritance.
You're the most interesting person in America right now.
There's something else.
My security team flagged something this morning.
Your ex-husband retained a new lawyer overnight, Marcus Webb.
Ethan can't afford Marcus Webb.
He can't. But someone's funding him. We're looking into who.
Dominic, why do you care this much? We had one dinner. You don't owe me anything.
I told you about Bastion Ridge. About the 53 hours I spent in that operations room, listening to your voice on the comms, not knowing if you'd make it out. I didn't know it was you then.
But I haven't forgotten that voice in 13 months.
And now that I've met the woman behind it, I'm not walking away.
Unauthorized access detected. Lobby level. 2 individuals. One identified as Ethan Cross.
He's at the building.
I heard.
Do not open that door. I'm sending my team. 15 minutes.
Make it 10.
Second individual identified, Marcus Webb, attorney at law. They are requesting elevator access to the penthouse.
Vivian, we need to talk.
Sir, I've already asked you twice to remain calm. Easy.
Mrs. Cross, thank you for coming down. I'm Marcus Webb, your husband's attorney.
I know who you are.
Then you know I don't waste time. I've drafted a revised settlement proposal. Given the recent developments regarding your family's estate, my client believes the original terms of the divorce are no longer equitable.
What does he want?
"50% of all marital assets, including any inheritance received during the marriage. Under this state's community property laws, your grandmother's estate, received while you illegally married, could be classified as joint property."
That's $170. For a man who cheated on me for 2 years while I was deployed in a combat zone.
The law doesn't account for emotions, Mrs. Cross. It accounts for assets and legal status. And as of today, you are still legally married.
Vivian, be reasonable. I helped build our life together. I supported you before you left. That has to count for something.
You supported me? You mean the apartment I paid for? The car I bought with my savings? The life you were living on my dime while telling your girlfriend I was dead?
I made mistakes. But the law...
The law. You want to talk about the law? Let's talk about law. Yesterday, I retained a lawyer of my own, Catherine Park of Hargraf and Associates. Miss Park has already filed a counter motion. Under the Servicemeasure Civil Refect Active, any legal proceedings initiated against active duty military persons during or within 90 days of deployment can be challenged and delayed. My deployment ended 4 days ago. Furthermore, the inheritance from my grandmother is classified as a separate property bequeath under this state's estate laws. It was left to me by name in a trust, with conditions that specifically exclude spousal claims. Your community property argument won't survive the first hearing.
You said this would work. You said...
Shut up.
And one more thing, Mr. Webb. I'm curious who's bankrupting you. Ethan couldn't afford your hourly rate with everything he owns. Someone is funding this, and when I find out who, I'm going to make sure they regret it.
Are you threatening me, Mrs. Cross?
I'm informing you. There's a difference. I've been trained to know exactly where the line is.
Captain Ashford. Mr. Webb, you're trespassing in my building, harassing my guest, and attempting to intimidate a decorated military officer in my lobby. I have all of this on camera.
I also happen to know that your law license is currently under review by the state bar for evidence tampering in the Harmon case last year. If you'd like, I can make a call and ensure that review is expedited.
We're leaving.
Vivian, this isn't over!
Yes, it is. Goodbye, Ethan.
Catherine Park. Impressive choice.
She was my bunkmate's sister. I called in a favor.
Is there anyone you haven't saved or served with who owes you a favor?
Give me time. The list is still growing.
My security team traced the funding for Webb's retainer. It came from a shell company called Orion Capital Partners.
Never heard of it.
You wouldn't have. It was created 3 weeks ago. But the registered agent is someone you might recognize.
He's contesting the inheritance.
Worse. He's trying to make sure you never receive it. And he's using your ex-husband to do it.
How much do you know about him?
Enough to know he's dangerous. And enough to know he won't stop at your ex-husband.
Vivian, sweetheart, it's your Uncle Gerald. I heard you've been causing quite a stir. The war hero returns. How touching. But let me give you some family advice. That money was never meant for you. Your grandmother was Seanie at the end. Everyone knows it. I've already filed to have the will invalidated. Walk away now, and I'll let you keep your little military pension. Fight me, and I'll make sure you lose everything. The money, the reputation, that pretty boy billionaire you've been seen with, everything.
He doesn't know you very well, does he?
No, he really doesn't. What time does your legal team get in?
They're already waiting.
Here's what we're dealing with. Gerald Ashford filed a petition to invalidate your grandmother's will yesterday afternoon. His claim is that Eleanor Ashford was mentally incompetent at the time the will was revised.
She had cancer, not dementia.
I know that. But Gerald has produced an affidavit from a Dr. Raymond Liu, a psychiatrist, claiming he evaluated Eleanor 6 months before her death and found signs of cognitive decline.
Is the affidavit legitimate?
Dr. Liu lost his medical license 2 years ago for falsifying patient records. He's currently practicing under a provisional readmission in another state. Gerald either doesn't know that, or he's counting on no one checking.
He's counting on no one checking.
Then he's already lost. I'll have this thrown out within a week. But that's not the real problem. Gerald has also filed a motion claiming that as Eleanor's direct heir by blood, her son, he should have been the primary beneficiary. He's arguing that Eleanor's decision to leave everything to her granddaughter was the result of undue influence. Undue influence from whom? I hadn't spoken to her in over a decade. He's claiming that someone manipulated Eleanor on your behalf. And the person he's naming is Dominic Steele.
His argument being?
That Dominic orchestrated the entire inheritance arrangement to gain control of Ashford Holdings through a marriage to you. He's painting Dominic as a corporate predator who manipulated a dying woman.
Gerald's smarter than I gave him credit for. He's not just attacking me, he's attacking the person with the resources to help me fight back.
Exactly. And there's already media coverage.
I've seen it.
My legal team is preparing a response. But I want to be transparent with you, Vivian. Gerald isn't wrong that I had a relationship with your grandmother. Eleanor and I had dinner twice in the year before she died. She approached me about the marriage arrangement. My legal team is preparing a response. But I want to be transparent with you, Vivian. Gerald isn't wrong that I had a relationship with your grandmother. Eleanor and I had dinner twice in the year before she died. She approached me about the marriage arrangement.
But we also discussed business, potential partnerships between Ashford Holdings and Steele Defense.
That's normal business.
It is. But taken out of context, with the right spin, it looks like I was grooming an elderly woman to hand over her fortune.
What do you need from me?
Nothing. I can handle Gerald's attacks on my reputation. What concerns me is what he might do to you.
I survived a 9-day siege, Dominic. I can survive my uncle.
Your uncle doesn't fight with mortars. He fights with lawyers and journalists and shell companies. It's a different kind of war.
Then it's a good thing I'm a fast learner.
If I may, there's a faster way to end this. Eleanor anticipated that Gerald would contest the will. She left a sealed letter with Whitmore and Kessler to be opened only in the event of a legal challenge. What's in it? I don't know. Only the letter's existence was disclosed to me. But Eleanor's instructions were specific. The letter should be opened in the presence of all parties. You, Gerald, and the presiding judge.
Then let's open it.
There's a hearing scheduled for Friday. Gerald pushed for it to be expedited. I can request that the letter be entered into evidence at that hearing.
Three days.
3 days.
Catherine, thank you for taking this case.
Thank me after we win. Colonel Vance, I need character witnesses, people who serve with me, people who can testify to who I am.
Captain, half the base would volunteer. How many do you
3,
need?
the best ones. Mr. Whitfield, I want to see everything my grandmother left. Not just the will, personal letters, diaries, anything.
We'll have the archives ready for you by tomorrow, Miss Ashford.
Megan, how are you?
Scared. Ethan won't stop calling. He doesn't know about the paternity test, but he's getting more aggressive. He keeps saying he's going to take what's his.
Has he threatened you directly?
He said if I don't support him in court, he'll make sure I end up with nothing, that no one will believe me over him.
Megan, I need you to do something for me. It might be uncomfortable.
What? What?
I need you to testify, not about the baby, that's your private matter, but about what Ethan told you about me. That he said I was dead. That he lied to you from the very beginning.
He'll destroy me.
He'll try, but you won't be alone. I'll make sure of it.
Okay, I'll do it.
My grandmother saw this coming. She left breadcrumbs.
Of course she did. Eleanor Ashford never lost a fight.
There's something else. My team finished tracing your and Gerald's shell company. It's not just funding your ex-husband's lawyer.
A payment was made last week, $200,000, to Dr. Raymond Liu, the psychiatrist who signed the false affidavit about your grandmother.
That's bribery. That's fraud.
Yes, and I have the bank records to prove it.
I can see the penthouse lights from my office. I'm still in too. So should you. You've gone over it 4 times. The evidence is solid. You're solid. Go to sleep, Captain. That's an order.
Vivian, you look well. The military clearly agreed with you.
Save it for the judge, Gerald.
Your Honor, my client Gerald Ashford is the sole surviving son of Eleanor Ashford. He petitions this court to invalidate the revised will on the grounds that Mrs. Ashford was mentally incompetent at the time of signing. We have an affidavit from Dr. Raymond Liu, a licensed psychiatrist, confirming the signs of cognitive decline. Furthermore, my client contends that the decision to disincarcere him in favor to his niece was the result of undue influence exerted by Dominic Steele, CEO of Steele Defense Industries, who had personal and financial motives to control the Ashford estate through a marriage arrangement.
Ms. Park, your response?
Your Honor, the petitioner's entire case rests on a single piece of evidence, an affidavit from Dr. Raymond Liu, claiming that Eleanor Ashford showed signs of cognitive decline. This is Dr. Liu's disciplinary record from the State Medical Board. His license was revoked in 2022 for falsifying patient evaluations. It was provisionally reinstated under restricted conditions that specifically prohibit him from providing forensic psychiatric assessments. Furthermore, we have obtained bank records showing that a shell company called Arroyan Capital Partners, registered to the petitioner, Gerald Ashford, made a payment of $200,000 to Dr. Ashley 1 week before the affidavit was signed. This isn't a will contest, Your Honors. This is fraud. The petitioner fabricated evidence, bribed a discredited medical professional, and filed a knowingly false claim with this court.
Mr. Ashford, do you wish to respond?
Your Honor, I'm shocked by these allegations. I have no knowledge of any payments to Dr. Liu. Orient Capital Partners is an investment vehicle managed by third-party administrators. If any opera payments were made, they were done without my authorization. My niece has clearly been influenced by Dominic Steele's resources. It's exactly the kind of manipulation I warned about. A young woman, vulnerable after military service, being used by a billionaire to seize control of a family fortune.
Vivian, I'm not your enemy. I'm trying to protect our family's legacy.
Your Honor, may I address the court? This is Eleanor Ashford's personal diary. The final entry was written 2 weeks before her death.
I know Vivian will be angry when she learns what I've done. Gerald will fight. He has always believed the money was his by right, as if blood alone entitles him to anything.
I was not manipulated. I was not confused. I knew exactly what I was doing. And I am so proud of her. Your Honor, my grandmother wasn't confused. She wasn't manipulated. She made a deliberate choice. And the man contesting that choice is the same man who bribed a doctor, created a fake company, and is currently funding my ex-husband's divorce attorney to drain my resources. Eleanor Ashworth saw this coming. She left this journal knowing Gerald would try exactly this. She wanted the court to hear her own words.
Mr. Webb, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I expect a direct answer. Were you aware that Dr. Liu's medical license had been previously revoked?
I was informed that Dr. Liu was a licensed...
That's not what I asked. Were you aware of the prior revocation? I'll take that as a yes. Mr. Ashford, I'm referring the matter of Dr. Liu's affidavit to the district attorney for investigation into potential fraud and perjury. Your petition to invalidate the will is denied.
Your Honor, I object.
Furthermore, I'm ordering a full forensic audit of Arroyan Capital Partners. If evidence of bribery or witness tampering is confirmed, criminal charges will follow. Mr. Ashford, I suggest you retain a criminal defense attorney. You're going to need one.
Clean up this mess.
Captain Ashford, do you believe your uncle faced criminal charges?
Vivian, over here.
That went well?
Gerald's not done.
No, but his legal options just narrowed significantly. The fraud referral alone will keep him tied up for months. And once the forensic audit hits Arroyan Capital Partners, every dirty transaction he's ever made will be on the table. Don't even try to explain.
Megan! I know you're in there! Open the door!
Why aren't you answering my calls? You think you can just disappear on me? Everything I've done, the divorce, the court, all of it, it's for us! For our future! And you're hiding from me?
Please, I need help. My ex is trying to break down my door.
Catherine Park.
Miss Park? I'm Megan Porter. Vivian told me you might be able to help me.
I know who you are. What do you need?
Ethan found where I'm staying. He was banging on the door. The police came and took him away, but they said it was just a warning. Just a warning. He'll be back. I know he'll be back.
Where are you right now?
A friend's apartment. But I can't stay here. I'm putting her in danger too.
I'm going to give you a number. It's a women's advocacy group I work with. They can find you temporary housing tonight. No one will know the address. Not Ethan, not anyone. Call them now. And Megan?
Yes?
Next time Ethan shows up, don't wait. Call 911 and then call me. In that order.
Mrs. Ashford, we've completed our review of your grandmother's sealed letter. As per her instructions, it was to be opened after the first legal challenge to the will was resolved.
The challenge was just denied this morning.
Precisely, which means the letter can now be opened. However, there's a complication.
What kind of complication?
The letter isn't addressed to you. It's addressed to Gerald.
My grandmother wrote a letter to the son she disincarnated?
And sealed it with instructions that it only be opened after he tried to take the money. She anticipated all of this, Captain. Every move.
When can we open it?
I'm arranging a meeting. Both you and Gerald must be present. I'll notify you of the time and location.
You actually cook?
Don't sound so surprised. I spent 2 years in the field before I started the company. If you can't cook in a forward operating base, you starve.
You were military?
Marine Corps, 4 years, then private sector.
You never mentioned the Marine Corps.
You never asked.
I'm asking now.
I enlisted at 18, did 4 years, 2 tours. Then I realized I could build better equipment than what we were being issued. So I started the company. 2 guys in a garage, 1 soldering iron, and a contract to fix damaged comms gear. The discipline stayed, the rank didn't.
This is the best thing I've eaten in 3 years.
37 months.
The letter from my grandmother, the sealed one, it's addressed to Gerald, not me. She wrote it to the son she disinherited, with instructions that it only be opened after he tried to take the money.
She knew he'd challenged the will.
She was counting on it. Whatever's in that letter, it's her final move.
When will it be opened?
Whitmore is arranging a meeting. Both Gerald and I have to be present.
Do you want me there?
Yes, I do. Dominic,
Yes.
why did you really agree to the marriage arrangement? And don't give me the Bastion Ridge answer again. That's a reason to respect someone. It's not a reason to marry them.
When your grandmother first approached me, I said no. I told her I wasn't interested in arranged marriages. I wasn't interested in inheriting someone else's family problems. And I definitely wasn't interested in marrying a woman I'd never met. Then she showed me a photograph. You, in uniform the day you received your commission. You were 22. You were standing at attention, but you were smiling, just barely, like you were trying to hold it in and failing. And she said, "This is the woman who chose a war zone over a trust fund. If you can find me one person in your entire life who's ever made a braver choice than that, I'll leave you alone." I couldn't.
I'm not going to make this easy for you.
I know.
I have nightmares. Bad ones. I wake up swinging.
I'll learn to duck.
I'm serious, Dominic.
So am I. Vivian, I'm not asking for easy. I'm asking for real.
Okay. Real. Gerald,
Vivian, I know about the letter. Whitmore called me.
Then you know we need to be in the same room to open it.
I know what's in it, Vivian. I've known for 30 years what your grandmother thought of me. I don't need a letter to confirm it.
then why did you fight so hard for the money?
Because it was all I had left of her.
He's lying.
Per Mrs. Ashford's instructions, this letter is to be read aloud in the presence of both parties. Mrs. Ashford, Mr. Ashford, are you ready? Gerald, if you are hearing this, it means you have done exactly what I expected. You challenged my will. You fought for the money. You probably hired lawyers, made threats, and told yourself you were the righteous one. You have always been so predictable, my son. I want you to understand something. I did not remove you from my will because I stopped loving you. I removed you because loving you was never enough to make you into a good man. When you were young, I gave you everything. The best schools, the best opportunities, every advantage money could buy. And you took it all and learned nothing except that the world owed you more. Vivian is different. She is stubborn, infuriating, and she broke my heart when she chose the military over the life I planned for her. But she made a choice. She chose service. She chose sacrifice. She chose to become someone remarkable rather than merely inherit someone else's legacy. That is why everything goes to her. But I am not writing this letter to explain myself. I am writing to give you one last chance. At the bottom of this envelope, you will find a key. It opens safety disposal box 2247 at First Continental Bank. Inside is a document, a trust I established in your name 15 years ago, worth $40 million. It was always meant for you, Gerald. I set it aside long before I became ill. But I knew that if I gave it to you outright, you would burn through it in a year and learn nothing. So the condition is this. The trust can only be released with Vivian's consent. She has full discretion. If she believes you are undeserving, you will receive nothing. I am giving her the power I never had, the power to hold you accountable. Do not waste this chance. It is the last one I can give you. Your mother, Eleanor.
Gerald. Did you know about the trust?
She never told me. I always thought she'd written me off completely.
She hadn't. She just didn't trust you.
She was right not to.
The fraud charges, the bribery, the things you did to me and to Dominic, those don't disappear because of a letter.
I know.
If I release the trust, it doesn't erase any of it.
I know that too.
Here's what's going to happen. You're going to cooperate fully with the district attorney's investigation. You're going to testify about everything. The shell company, Dr. Lou, Marcus Webb's, all of it. You're going to take responsibility publicly. And you're going to make a formal, public apology to Dominic Steele for the false accusations.
Vivian.
Those are the conditions. Meet them, and I'll release the trust. All $40 million. Fail, and you get nothing.
You're just like her.
I'll take that as a compliment. Earn it first.
That was handled masterfully.
It was handled the way my grandmother would have wanted.
How did it go?
My grandmother left Gerald $40 million. She made me the gatekeeper.
Eleanor Ashford, ruling from beyond the grave.
It's a family talent.
Dominic, I've been thinking about the marriage arrangement. I don't want to marry you because my grandmother told me to. I don't want to marry you for the inheritance or the alliance or the optics. If I marry you, it'll be because I choose to. On my terms, in my time.
And how much time are you thinking?
Buy me dinner again first. The short ribs were a strong opening move, but I need more data.
Tomorrow night?
Make it tonight. I'm impatient.
Deal. So what now, Captain?
Now I wait for Gerald to keep his word. And I prepare for whatever comes next.
And dinner tonight?
7:00. Your place. Try to top the short ribs.
Challenge accepted.
Orion Capital Partners was created at my direction. The payment to Dr. Lou was authorized by me. Marcus Webb was retained on my behalf, funded through the shell company.
And the purpose of these actions?
To invalidate my mother's will, to discredit my niece, and to pressure her into surrendering the inheritance. Every charge is accurate. I'm prepared to accept full responsibility. I, Gerald Ashford, take full responsibility for my actions in contesting my mother's will.
I fabricated evidence, funded fraudulent legal proceedings, and made false public accusations against Dominic Steele and my niece, Captain Vivian Ashford. These actions were wrong, and I am deeply sorry.
The local prosecutor accepted the plea agreement. Gerald will not have to go to prison. But we demand community service, full financial compensation, and a public statement. The statement has been released as agreed. The documents are being prepared. As soon as you sign, the $40 million will be released to him. I have to tell him. He deserves to know the truth.
You don't have to do it in person. You could send the report.
No. I've been running from things my whole life. Not this time.
What's this?
What is this supposed to mean? This can't be right.
It's right. I confirmed it twice.
This is some kind of trick. You're working with Vivian. She put you up to this.
Ethan, the baby isn't yours.
Then what was all this for? The divorce? The court? Everything
Goodbye, Ethan.
Judge Navarro's clerk, what's the word?
The judge signed the divorce decree. It's final. Everything awarded to Captain Ashford.
Send me the official copy, and thank you. Thank you. Send me the paper already on its way.
You're staring again.
I'm observing. There's a tactical difference.
Observing what?
Your knife work. It's efficient.
Is that a compliment?
It's an assessment. I talked to General Morrison today.
About what?
My future. The Army wants me back. They're offering a promotion, full colonel, and a posting at the Pentagon.
That's a significant offer.
It is.
Are you going to take it?
I don't know yet.
Vivian, I need to say something. And I want you to hear it clearly. Whatever you decide, the Army, the inheritance, us, I will never ask you to choose between your life and mine. If you want to go back to service, I'll be here when you come home. If you want to run Ashman Holdings, I'll support you. If you want to do both, or neither, or something entirely different.
Dominic.
I've spent 37 months making decisions in environments where one wrong call means people die. I know how to evaluate options. I know how to weigh risk, and I know what I want.
What do you want?
I want to stop running. I want to build something that's mine. Not because someone left it to me, but because I chose it. And I want to build it with someone who sees me clearly. Not the uniform, not the money, not the headlines. Me.
I see you. I've seen you since Bastion Ridge. Since a voice on a radio said, hold your position, and I knew, without knowing, that whoever was on the other end wouldn't break.
I almost did. Day 7, I almost broke.
But you didn't.
No. Because someone on the other end of that radio told me help was coming. And I believed him.
You didn't even know it was me.
I didn't need to. I just needed to know someone was there.
So, is this a yes to the marriage?
This is a yes to dinner. The marriage requires at least 3 more successful meals and 0 fire alarms.
Challenge accepted. You should check that.
The divorce is final.
How do you feel?
Like I just completed a mission, and I'm ready for the next one.
Ready, Captain?
Always.
Vivian, I spent 53 hours in an operations room, listening to a voice on a radio, not knowing if the person behind it would survive the night. I made a promise to myself then. If that person made it out, I would find a way to be worthy of their courage. I didn't know it was you, but some part of me did. Because when I finally met you, it didn't feel like meeting someone new. It felt like recognizing someone I'd been waiting for. I'm not promising you easy. I'm promising you real. Every day, no matter what.
I spent most of my life believing that strength meant doing everything alone, that needing someone was a weakness, that the safest place to be was self-contained, because if you don't depend on anyone, no one can let you down. You didn't prove me wrong. You just stood beside me until I figured out that strength isn't about not needing anyone. It's about choosing who you trust with the parts of you that aren't strong. You were the voice on the radio, Dominic. You were the one who said, hold your position, help is coming. And you kept that promise before you even knew who I was. So here's mine. I choose you. Not because my grandmother arranged it, not because of the money or the company or the alliance. I choose you because you saw me, all of me, and you didn't look away.
Ben,
You came.
you invited me.
The trust was released last month.
I know. I received the notification.
You haven't touched it.
I started a foundation, youth mentorship programs, using the trust money.
Why?
Your grandmother spent her whole life trying to make me into someone worth respecting. I figured the least I could do is try to help someone else get there faster.
than I did.
I called your office last week, left a message. I wanted to ask if you'd sit on the advisory board.
I know. I heard the message.
And?
I'll think about it. Grandma, you were right. He doesn't break. To Eleanor.
To Eleanor. The most terrifying matchmaker in history.
Revenue grew by 34%, and the stock price doubled. Revenue growth is driven primarily by 3 factors. First, restructuring the supply chain to eliminate redundancies left over from the previous management structure. Second, the joint venture with Steele Defense, which opened access to government contracts Ashford had been locked out of for 6 years. Third, a complete overhaul of the executive hiring pipeline. We now have veterans filling 40% of senior operational roles. Those numbers weren't produced by changing what Ashford does. They were produced by changing how we do it. Discipline, accountability, and mission focus are not military concepts, they're leadership concepts.
How did it go?
Standing ovation, led by Sandra Chen.
Sandra Chen? The one who called you a soldier playing CEO?
The same. I'd call that winning the war. It's not a war, it's a restructuring. With you, there's no difference.
You're staring again.
Observing.
What's the tactical assessment?
Flour on your left cheek. Sauce on your sleeve. Overall readiness. Compromised.
Get over here and help then.
I got a call from Megan today.
How is she?
Good. The baby's walking now. She sent a video.
And Gerald?
He called last week. He started a foundation using the trust money. Youth mentorship programs. He asked if I'd sit on the advisory board.
What did you say?
I said I'd think about it.
That's generous.
My grandmother would have wanted me to give him the chance.
Eleanor really did think of everything.
Almost everything. She didn't predict the fire alarm incident.
Nobody could have predicted the fire alarm incident.
It was one pan.
It was a conflagration, Vivian.
Thank you.
For what?
For not asking me to be someone I'm not.
I never could have. You wouldn't have let me.
Do you remember what you said to me the night we first had dinner? At the Meridian Club?
I said several things. Most of them were attempts to seem impressive.
You said,
You don't have to handle things alone anymore.
I thought it's you.
I didn't believe you then. I'd spent so long being alone, in the field, in my marriage, in everything, that I didn't know how to let someone in without it feeling like a tactical vulnerability.
And now?
Now I know that letting someone in isn't a vulnerability. It's a force multiplier.
Only you could make a romantic statement sound like a military budding.
It's part of my charm.
Yes, it is.
General.
Vivian, I'm not calling about business. Just checking in. How's the civilian world treating you?
Fewer explosions, more spreadsheets. The danger is roughly equivalent.
I saw your quarterly numbers. Impressive. The Army's loss is Wall Street's gain.
I learned from the best, sir.
Damn right you did. I'm retiring next month. 38 years.
You've earned it, General.
That's what my wife keeps saying. Listen, they're throwing me a ceremony at the base. I'd like you there, front row.
I'll be there.
Good. And Vivian?
Sir?
I'm proud of you. Not because of the company or the money. Because you figured out what you wanted and you went after it. That's the hardest mission there is.
Thank you, sir. That means more than you know.
How was your day?
Sandra Chen, Tiliga, knew the Sogelfine, Lodja Hindrasher.
You said yes?
I said I'd review the due diligence report by Friday.
That's your way of saying yes?
I also told Gerald I'll join his foundation's advisory board.
Really?
He's trying. It's slow. It's imperfect. But it's real. Morrison General Sagiwith Twasio. He'd sing me to Isher, Chempai.
Of course. Front row.
You could come with me, if you want.
Try to keep me away.
Dominic. I never said thank you for Baston Ridge, not properly. 12 people came home because your team rerouted that signal. Because you stayed in that room for 53 hours. I've said thank you to every person who helped us survive that siege, except the one who mattered most. So, thank you for staying on the line. For not giving up when the satellite went dark. For saying hold your position when all the evidence suggested no one was coming.
Someone was always coming. You just had to hold long enough.
I held.
You held.